The sky hung heavy with clouds, casting a muted shadow over the day. It was the kind of gray that seemed to seep into everything, mirroring the weight people carried in their hearts. Inside the quiet chapel, family, friends, and loved ones gathered, each of them connected by grief, each of them holding on to a piece of something they once shared with Brandon Blackstock, the man who had once been so intertwined in the life of one of the world's most iconic voices, Kelly Clarkson. The service, intimate in its nature, became something much deeper, a moment to reflect, not just on Brandon's life, but on the raw, unspoken truth of human connection. Kelly's tribute was the kind of moment that hits you when you least expect it. In her words, there was no veil of celebrity, no public persona, just the pain of a person who had loved and lost. And in those words there was an openness, a vulnerability that made the air feel heavy. Kelly's tribute wasn't just for Brandon, the ex-husband. It was for the father, the son, and the friend. It was a reminder that even though love takes on new forms, the bond between family members doesn't easily fade. Those who only knew Brandon as Kelly's ex-husband never got the full picture. He had his own legacy in the music world, yes, as a talent manager helping artists carve out their futures. But off stage, he was so much more quiet, funny, fiercely protective, and a devoted father to his children, River Rose and Remington Alexander. The funeral itself was held in a space far from the cameras and public eyes, surrounded only by the quiet beauty of white flowers, their fragrance carrying through the air. Friends and family whispered memories to one another, sharing stories of Brandon's life, each memory a small piece of him that would live on. Kelly walked in, her children by her side, and though her composure was intact, anyone who looked closely could see the heaviness in her eyes. And then, when it was her turn to speak, the room became so silent, you could hear the weight of each breath. Kelly's voice wavered at first, but with each word, she grew stronger. "Life has a way of leading us down paths we never planned," she said, her voice trembling but steadying. "Brandon and I shared so much laughter, challenges, music, and most importantly, we shared the joy of raising two incredible children. No matter what changes happened between us, he was and always will be an important part of our lives." Her words were simple, but they cut to the core. Today, we say goodbye. But we also say thank you for the memories, for the lessons, and for the love that will live on through our children. And just like that, in her grief, Kelly shared something that many of us don't always fully grasp, that love doesn't have to remain the same to be real. It changes, it evolves, but when there's shared history and family, it never truly leaves. The news of Kelly's tribute spread quickly. Her fans, who had followed her through every high and low, flooded social media with messages of support. They admired not just her strength but her grace. They marveled at her ability to rise above personal hurts and focus on what truly mattered, the love and respect that still existed for the father of her children. In the weeks that followed, those closest to the family spoke about how important it was to shield River and Remington from the public eye, giving them space to grieve, to process, and to heal. The world watched as Kelly showed us, once again, that even in the most difficult of times, it's possible to honor what's been lost, and to hold on to what truly matters. Kelly has always been a lioness when it comes to protecting and nurturing her children. In this time of loss, she's shown just how far she'll go to make sure that River and Remington know they are loved, supported, and above all, safe. She's working tirelessly to shield them from the weight of this grief, offering them the comfort they need to process such a profound loss. The journey ahead won't be easy, but the way she held her family together, even in such a painful moment, spoke volumes. It was a quiet reminder that no matter what we face, love is the force that never wavers. Brandon's passing has served as a stark reminder of how fragile life really is. It makes you pause and think about how quickly time can slip away, how the chapters we expect to last forever can close without warning. When something like this happens, everything else, the noise, the distractions, fade into the background. What remains are the truths that matter most: love, connection, and the impact we leave behind. Brandon's story isn't just a series of events or a professional timeline. It's the small, intimate moments, the sound of laughter shared over coffee, the way his kids' voices could light up his entire world. It's the long talks that went late into the night, the quiet way he could command a room without ever raising his voice. People felt seen when they were with him, heard when they spoke. His success in the music industry will forever be a part of his legacy. But the most important role he ever played was that of father to River and Remington. It's in the quiet moments, the little victories that so often go unnoticed, where his heart truly lived, and it's in those moments where his legacy will live on. Every bedtime story he read, every time he rushed to comfort a scraped knee, every proud smile he shared at a school event, those are the moments that will remain in the hearts of his children. They are woven into the very fabric of their memories. These are the things they will carry with them, shaping how they remember their dad for the rest of their lives. And in that, Brandon's legacy is secure. continuing to shape their world long after he's gone. Kelly's words that day weren't just a farewell, they were a bridge that stretched across years of shared life. Standing before the crowd, her voice held a blend of grief and gratitude, a raw and real reflection of who she was in that moment. She wasn't speaking as the global superstar that millions adore. She was speaking as a woman who had loved deeply, built a life, and brought two beautiful children into the world with Brandon Blackstock. Her words didn't shy away from the complexities of their relationship, acknowledging that love doesn't always end in the way we expect. Life can lead people down separate paths, but the love they shared, the family they built, would always remain. In that chapel, none of the noise of the outside world mattered. No headlines, no court battles, no public opinions. What remained was the simple truth: they were family, and they always would be, because of the children they shared. Kelly's speech resonated far beyond those walls, not just because it was sincere, but because it embodied something so pure, a reminder that respect and compassion can coexist with the end of a marriage. It was proof that grief doesn't need to be tied to romantic love to hurt, and that honoring someone's life is a deep human act. As the last notes of the song faded into silence, a stillness settled over the room. The soft rustle of tissues, the muffled sniffles, and the gentle hum of the organ filled the air, wrapping the mourners in a cocoon of shared sorrow. The chapel was adorned with white lilies and roses, their fragrance mingling with the scent of polished wood and candle wax. Even after the service ended, no one rushed to leave. People lingered, reluctant to step away from a space where so much emotion had been shared. Long-lost friends embraced as if they had never been apart, and colleagues who had known Brandon in the industry exchanged hushed stories about the kindnesses he had shown, offstage acts of loyalty and generosity that would never make the headlines. Yes, there was a profound sadness in the air, but also an overwhelming current of gratitude. Gratitude for the years they had shared with Brandon, for the children who would carry his spirit, and for the lessons, both joyful and difficult, that had shaped those closest to him. In many ways, the funeral became a mirror. It made everyone who stood there reflect on their own lives, on the relationships they hold dear, on the people they need to call, and the apologies they've been putting off. It was a silent nudge to remind us all of the importance of love and connection, to forgive, and to cherish every moment while we still have the chance. Brandon's legacy is far more than the records he helped produce or the careers he shaped. His true legacy lives in the memories of his children. His son will always remember the encouragement before a big game, and his daughter will carry with her the sound of his laughter, filling the kitchen on lazy Saturday mornings. Friends will remember his unwavering loyalty, and his family will always feel his presence at every gathering. Kelly will see pieces of him in their children as they grow, and those little reminders will continue to keep him alive in their hearts. Brandon's story will live on in the stories his children tell, in the framed photos that will always find a place on the shelves, and in the quiet moments when his absence will be most felt. In the days after the service, life will continue to move forward. The children will return to school, friends will return to their routines, and Kelly will find a way to balance her grief with the demands of motherhood and work. But moving forward doesn't mean forgetting. It means carrying his memory, his lessons, his laughter, and his love into the future. It means honoring him by living fully, by being present for those still here, and by ensuring that River and Remington grow up knowing who their father was and how deeply he loved them. Even though Brandon and Kelly's paths diverged long ago, there's an invisible thread that still connects them: the shared history, the love for their children, and now the shared grief. That thread won't break, not because of divorce, not because of distance, and certainly not because of death. It's a connection that will continue to shape both of their lives, in ways that are often unseen by the world, but are deeply felt. In that, there is a kind of quiet beauty, the realization that relationships can evolve, and yet still hold incredible meaning. As the mourners began to leave, the clouds outside parted, letting the sun spill through, casting a warm glow on the steps where people stood to hug, cry, and share one last moment of connection. Kelly held her children close as they stepped into the car, her expression one of both sorrow and strength. In the end, this wasn't just a goodbye to Brandon Blackstock, it was a celebration of the life he lived, and the lives he touched. It was a reminder that every ending carries pieces of the beginning, and that love, in all its many forms, is what connects us all. Though Brandon's voice may be silent now, the echoes of his life will never fade.